Hello and welcome to episode 47 of Daryl Show Your Work. In this episode, I will be reverse engineering malware with the Yara rule. All right, so to get started, we will be doing this on a Windows platform. And to give some background on our scenario, we have an employee within an enterprise who clicked on an email with an attachment on it called crypto.exe, and they claimed that when they clicked on it, that nothing appeared on the screen, which was suspicious. So of course, we don't respond to phishing emails. We don't click on attachments. We don't know the sender. We don't know the exact nature of the attachment. But in this case, we had somebody in our enterprise do so. So now we're analyzing the file, and first we need to find out, okay, what's going on in this file, and to see if there is something malicious going on in it, if we can reverse engineer it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open PowerShell up. All right, and then I am going to enhance our font here, just so everybody watching can see what's going on. All right, let's blow that up. Okay. All right, so I'm going to change. I'm in my home directory, so I'm going to change to the desktop because this is where the crypto.exe file is located. All right, so doing a change directory command. All right, so now I'm on the desktop. So I want to be able to extract and save anything that I find here in this exe file safely into a text file, because I don't want to click on it myself to see what it does. So in order to do so, again, I want to copy the code that's in this exe file into safely into a text file. Then for me to continue my analysis. So in order to do that, I'm gonna run the following command, and I'm going to use a command called strings.exe, which is going to allow me to do this. And then I'm going to tell strings that I wanted to pull of where I wanted to pull the contents of the file from, which is crypto.exe. That's our suspected malicious file that we're working with. And I'm gonna give it a greater than sign. That means I want it to output it to a file we're going to call crypto. No matter of fact, hold on, I misspelled. I forgot my R. Crypto here. All right. And we want to output this into a file called crypto uh, .txt, which is a text file. All right, so I'm gonna hit enter. Give it a few seconds. Okay, so let's check my desktop to see if that's there. All right, so we can see the text file right here. So I'm not going to directly, I'm going to open it, but I'm not going to open it with like Notepad or anything. I'm going to open it with Visual Studio Code, so we can view the code inside of there. All right. So this is a long line of code. So to save us some time, I'm going to scroll down a bit and go to the most interesting part of the code. All right, go up a little more. All right, so we can see this portion of the code. It appears to be um base 66 base 64, excuse me, encoding. So I want to be able to take this base 64 encoding and use a utility that can tell me what exactly is going on here, or something that could put this in plain English to tell me, hey, is any part of this encoding within this script malicious? All right, so I'm going to copy this base 64 encoding. All right, take it up to where the base 64 ends. Right click that, and we're going to copy that. Now we're going to go to a website called CyberChef. So what CyberChef is, it's a versatile web application designed for encrypting, decrypting, converting data, and it does much more. But it is widely used in cybersecurity and digital forensics to analyze and decode data in an efficient way. So I'm going to go to CyberChef's website here. All right. All right. Chef.org, and then yeah, so I'm going to https cyberchef.org. All right, so what I want to do, I'm gonna come over here to the input box, and I am going to paste all of that base encoding over here. All right. So I'm gonna go over to this side, over to the left side, and I'm going to tell CyberChef what I want it to do. So basically, I want to tell CyberChef that this what I currently pasted in here is from base 64 encoding, and I want to give me its best interpretation that it can of this base 64 inputs. So I'm gonna double click on that. Okay. So the most interesting, so if you look at this, doesn't look like a whole lot is, then a whole lot is human readable except for a few parts. But the most interesting part that we want to pay attention to is this little portion right here. All right, and it's telling us where it decoded it from. It decoded from this portion of the script right here, and this is saying server is listening on port. All right, which is very important to us. So this indicates that the code is designed to open a system port and is waiting for incoming connection. So that confirms that, hey, that this is a malicious file, because anything that comes in and automatically opens up a closed port and starts listening on that, well, it's probably going to target some ports that are probably disabled by default due to their vulnerable nature, such as being clear text. So think of like FTP, HTTP, things that we would disable by default to harden our attack surface. All right, so now we want to be able to identify within this string. Okay, now we know that there's something in here that specifies for this for the port to be open. Now we want to be able to identify what string within this file actually does that, so we can better understand how the file works and what particular commands to look for in files like this moving forward. So uh, how we could begin doing this is creating something called a Yara rule. And we're going to create a Yara rule to be able, again, to help us to identify the string associated with opening the port. All right, so in order to begin to begin creating my Yara rule, I'm going to type run here into my start menu search bar, and then I'm going to simply type in, I want to write this code in Notepad. So I'm do notepad.exe. All right. So let's expand this a bit. Okay, so I'm going to start writing this code. All right, so write rule, port opening detection. And thing you'll notice about this is that it's a lot of it is in plain English. So it's syntax wise, it's It's fairly easy to understand. All right, next line. See, I want to indent a little. Meta. Right then. All right, so description, I want to say identifies malware attempting to open a system port. All right, so that's me leaving a description here. That's the metadata that I'm adding here. So metadata again is data to describe data. So if anyone looking at this code can understand what it is that the code does, now I'm going to write the actual code here. Strings. All right, we see open port. String 1. Right, my third line here. Oops. All right. So again, So this is the rule, which is aiming to identify attempts to open a port by searching for specific strings that indicate such behavior. So this is right here where it says where it says strings. So I'm indicating which strings that I wanted to be able to pinpoint. Because remember when I showed you going back to CyberChef here. All right, let me see if I could put those side by side for us. Let me minimize this. All right, so these are the three strings here. So you see, so I put in my Yara rule here that I wanted to look for string one to look here, string two I wanted to look here, and string three I want to look here. In the condition, I want you to look at all three of these strings, and I want to I want basically to confirm that that hey, if basically if any of these are true as far as opening up the port detection, then I want you to return back that return back port opening detection to me to let me know that these lines are indeed the lines where it's happening. And again, we suspect that it's these three lines because in CyberChef is correlating these three lines um, to this decoded portion of the script that says server is listing on port. All right, so I'm going to go to File. I'm gonna say Save As. All right, and then let's see. Let's save this as we're gonna call this port opening .yar, save it as a yar rule, and then I'm going to change. Oh, make sure I'm doing that on desktop actually, because I want it to be in the same place as the malicious file. So that I'm also going to change to all files, so it saves it in the right format for us. I'm gonna hit save. Okay. All right. So going back to PowerShell. All right. So I am now going to run um, a utility called Yara 64. And what Yara 64 will do is going to scan it's going to conduct a scan on the crypto.exe file using the Yara rule that I just created to see if we can indeed confirm that that this is indeed the malicious line of code within this script that is causing the port to that's going to cause ports to open. All right, so we know we're going to, this is just real basic. We're going to know that it's doing this action. We would have to dive at least, we would have to dive a bit deeper to see which ports that it's aiming to open, and if it's doing anything malicious beyond just opening the port and listening. So anyway, in order to run Yara 64, I'm going to say Yara 64.exe. All right, and then I want to tell it which Yara rule file to run, which is our port opening .yara file. All right, and then I want to specify too what we want to run that file against, which is our malicious file, which is crypto.exe. All right, so everything looks good as far as syntax. Let's run that. And let's see. Doesn't look like it didn't like something that I put here. Let me check my syntax here first within my code. So let's see. So that's right. Let's see. Q, T3, Q1, Z1, D, H. Okay, here's where I messed up. I put in a wrong. Okay, so that should be a C. All right, messed up my syntax here within my code to make sure everything else here is correct. Q. Okay, that's correct. Okay. All right, so let me save this. All right. All right, so let's try running Yara 64 again, and let's see if we get anything back. All right, here we go. So we found it. So it returned back a positive port opening detection .crypto.exe. So basically, running this Yara rule basically confirmed that that is indeed what confirmed what CyberChef is saying, that indeed that these 3 lines of code within this script is indeed opening a port for listening, a closed port for listening. So this would be just a fundamental basic example of how to use and how to create a Yara rule to be able to reverse engineer a um, a malicious file, and being able to dissect it and understand what it is that it does, or some component of what it is that it does. And this is a mechanism typically used by digital forensics. So just to give a quick overview of what was done here. So um, we uh, we first extracted the malicious code from our suspected um, uh, malicious file into a text document, and then we reviewed the actual the code within the script within Visual Studio Code software, and we copied the base 64 portion of that script, and we then went to the CyberChef online tool to then see if we could decode that base 64 encoding, uh, uh, which we're able to, and it basically highlighted 3 lines of code, saying basically stating that those were to be interpreted as server is listening on port. So I created a Yara file to verify if indeed that was true, and then the Yara file came back as that being positive for when running the Yara file using the Yara 64 utility. It came back against the crypto.exe malicious file. It came back that indeed that is a true positive on that being the case, as far as these lines of codes being true, is in terms of trying to opening up a closed port to then listen on and to perhaps do some further malicious actions. All right, so please like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, show your work. Until next time, take care of yourself, and God bless.